Imagine for a moment that you're an astronomer 10 million years in the future. You point your telescope toward the outer solar system, looking for the masterpiece. You're looking for the giant with the golden hula hoop, the planet that has defined our cosmic aesthetic since the invention of the lens. You'd think someone had stolen the Mona Lisa and left the frame behind. You'd think the universe had suffered a budget cut. But the truth is much more sobering. Saturn is losing its rings. Right now, as you're watching this video, the most famous accessory in the galaxy is being liquidated. We've been living in a golden age of geometry, and we didn't even know it. We caught Saturn at its peak, but the clock is ticking, and in a few million years, which is a weekend in cosmic time, Saturn will go back to being just another bloated ball of hydrogen. Today we're going to talk about the ring rain, the slow gravitational heist that is literally draining the rings dry. To understand how you lose the rings, you have to understand what they actually are. They aren't solid. They aren't a disk. If you tried to walk on them, you'd fall through a chaotic blizzard of ice and rock. It's basically a massive, planetary-scale snowball fight that got out of hand. These chunks of ice are orbiting Saturn at 70,000 miles per hour. They are held in a delicate, beautiful tug of war between their own momentum, which wants to fling them into the dark, and Saturn's gravity, which wants to pull them into the abyss. For a long time, we thought the rings were ancient. We thought they'd been there since the beginning, 4 billion years ago. We were wrong. Recent data from the Cassini mission suggests the rings might be as young as 10 million years. That means they might have formed while dinosaurs were already dead and our ancestors were just starting to figure out how to walk upright. This is where the tragedy begins. It's called the ring rain, and it's a process of gravitational erosion that is literally draining the rings dry. The sun is essentially electrifying the rings, and Saturn's magnetic field is acting like a giant vacuum cleaner. Every half hour, Saturn eats enough ring material to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool. At this rate, the rings don't have a prayer. They are being siphoned off, ton by ton, second by second. The very thing that makes Saturn Saturn is being dissolved into its own atmosphere. The rings aren't just fading, they are being digested. But the rings aren't going down without a fight. They have protectors. We call them shepherd moons. These are tiny, frozen bouncers, Pan, Daphnis, Prometheus, that orbit within the ring gaps. Their gravity nudges the stray ice back into place, keeping the edges of the rings sharp and crisp. It's a delicate, cosmic ballet. But even the best security guard can't stop a flood. The shepherd moons are trying to hold back a landslide with a toothpick. Ironically, the very moons that protect the rings are also their greatest threat. Gravity is a greedy master. Every time a moon tugs on a ring particle to keep it in line, it steals a little bit of its energy. Eventually, that particle loses the will to orbit and begins its long, final fall toward the yellow clouds below. We didn't just guess that the rings were disappearing, we tasted it. When the Cassini spacecraft took its final, grand finale dives between the planet and the rings, it smelled the rain. It wasn't just water, it was a complex cocktail of silicates, organics, and CO2. The rings are literally bleeding into Saturn's atmosphere. This influx of water is actually changing the chemistry of Saturn's upper air, creating dark bands where the rain is heaviest. It's a beautiful, glowing death. The rings are being transformed into light and chemistry, but in 100 million years, a mere blink in the life of a planet, the rain will stop. Not because the storm is over, but because the clouds have run out of water. This raises a terrifying question for astronomers. If Saturn is losing its rings so fast, does that mean all the giant planets used to have them? Did Jupiter once have a crown that would have put Saturn to shame? Did Neptune have a set of icy halos that sparkled like diamonds? It's possible that we just happened to show up at the very end of the party. We're looking at a graveyard. The thin, dark rings of Jupiter and Uranus are the skeletons of once great systems. Saturn isn't special, it's just the last one holding on to its youth, and it's losing that grip a little more every single day. There will come a day, roughly 100 million years from now, when the last piece of ice, a boulder the size of a mountain that once stood as a titan of the B ring, finally loses its grip. There won't be anyone there to watch it. No telescopes, no satellites, just the silent, indifferent churn of Saturn's storms. The crown will have officially been digested. Saturn will return to what it was for billions of years before the rings arrived, a naked gas giant, a beige ball of wind and ammonia. It's the ultimate, you can't take it with you. Not even a planet gets to keep its jewelry forever. Why does this feel like a tragedy? To the universe, it's just physics. It's just ice moving from point A to point B. But to us, Saturn is the rings. It's the icon. It's the reason half of us fell in love with space in the first place. Losing the rings feels like losing a piece of our own identity as observers. We're incredibly, impossibly lucky. We exist in the tiny 100 million year window where the jewel of the solar system is actually wearing its jewelry. We didn't miss the show. We arrived just as the lights went up and the star of the show took the stage. We like to think of the heavens as eternal. We call them the fixed stars and the ancient planets. We want to believe that the view we see tonight is the same view that will exist forever. But Saturn's disappearing rings tell a different story. They tell us that the universe is a verb, not a noun. It is a process of constant, violent, beautiful change. Nothing is permanent. Not the mountains, not the oceans, and not even the crowns of kings. So the next time you look through a telescope, don't just admire the view, say thank you, because the universe is under no obligation to be this pretty for us, before the rain washes it all away.